Good evening, everyone, and happy Tuesday. It is a hot and steamy Tuesday here in Ontario. Don't know how it is for you where you are, but hopefully you are comfortable. Maybe you like the heat, maybe you don't, but hopefully you are comfortable, and thank you for joining us for Learning Live. As we are getting warmed up here, I'm just plugging in my camera for power, so my apologies as the camera wiggles just a little bit. There we go. And we are happy to be here tonight with some very special items that just launched today. We've actually had them in our hot little hands for a little while now, but we're not allowed to show it. We were not allowed to talk about it. And I am going to apologize in advance if I misspeak throughout the evening because this is classic mouse. We are not allowed to use the M word. So we're going to call him Steamboat Willie. We can call him Classic Mouse. But a whole new series of goodies has arrived from Spellbinders featuring our favorite mouse and his girlfriend. I'm not sure what her unofficial or previous name was, so we'll just call her Miss Mouse. We've got Steamboat Willie and Mrs. Willie, maybe something like that. There is a whole wonderful suite of goodies in this collection. So I just showed you, this is the Better Press plate. The Classic Pooh version of this the Classic Pooh version of this similar style was very popular. And so I'm pretty confident that this very classic image of Steamboat Willie is also going to be very popular. Also in this collection is this series of mice. It's called the Steamboat Willie Duo. And we're going to be using him tonight. Look at all the pieces. Wow. It looks very confusing. Wow. When you look at this, I am going to break it down for you and give you some tips and tricks, some of which is do as I say, not as I do, because I have not done it for myself yet. But I'm going to tell you how to break this down and make it easier to use.
That looks like one of those die sets that you have to do your little cutting guide for.
That's exactly what I think you should do. There is the Classic Mouse borders. So if you turn it sideways, we've got music notes, we've got the steamboat wheel, we've got the rope, and we've got the anchors. There's a lot of nautical stuff that is out recently. So this goes right hand in hand with this. And as it's saying here, the cutouts can be used as extra elements. So don't get rid of the things you punch out. Keep them because you can use them. And you know what? Now that I'm looking at it, these are all going to be off to the side. I may have to crack some of these open. This one is called Flags and Banners. Very versatile. We've got frame and sentiments. So it's got this beautiful donut hole type frame, and you've got all the different sentiments that can go inside of it. There's well, hello there, oh boy, golly, and swell. Totally Steamboat Willie sayings. And then we have this bundle here, which has the Classic Mouse alphabet and the numbers as well. So if you once upon a time had the Cricut cartridge that from this very same series, this is the same font. It's just now in alpha dies. The dies, it looks to be about 1.5 inches tall. I'm not sure, Matt, if it actually says that on the website, but
I don't think we had that information.
We might not have. I may have to actually measure that. And then I'm going to share this with you as well. All of these items coordinate with the Simple Stories Say Cheese Classic Mouse collection. This collection was actually from last September, so the paper has been out for about 9 months now, and you may already have it in your stash, but if you don't, we have it in the store. So this is the paper that I am going to be using for our Learning Live tonight. Now, throughout this month, we have been doing different learning lives on how to use dies on layouts. It's a question we get asked quite often. And so we've shared a couple of different ideas, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity to marry this brand new product that is super fun to play with. Let me just show you a quick little sample. This is a little shaped card here. But talk about Steamboat Willie, talk about how to assemble him, and talk about how you can use your dies to create clusters and create visual interest on your layouts. Now, I'm going to be doing one page of a 2-page layout. I have the second page almost all completely done. We'll complete it this evening. But if you are more of a traveler's notebook person or more of a mini album person, or maybe really only like doing 1 pages, all the same tips and tricks I'm going to give you, all the things we're going to cover tonight on a 2-page layout can absolutely work on other formats as well. So come along for the ride. We're going to go down the river with Steamboat Willie, and we are going to have some fun. At least I'm going to have some fun because I'm crafting for the evening. So I started off by going to my friend Pinterest, and I have a board that is called, I can't tell you what it's called because I'm not allowed to use the word, but I pulled out a whole bunch of images and samples and ideas of what I wanted to pull together tonight. And in the end, what I ended up with is I'm going to use this as my main page for tonight, because this is going to give me some great ways to share with you how you would use a smaller pad, like a 6x8 pad, on a 12x12 layout. I'm going to show you some ideas there. And then over here, I took the right-hand page, and that's what I've used for that second page. And I will show you that a little bit later on. But there's always good ideas, and you can mix and match your ideas. You can take just little bits from everything. I also did look at this page, but most of the paper in this pad here is vertical. So to try and do horizontal was going to be a little bit difficult. So that's why I went with this one instead. Let's quickly get the background together, and then we can talk about the dies. So I have some Color Vibe red cardstock here. I've got a black strip that's going to go across the middle. And then I did do some pre-cutting, but not pre-gluing. I've got 5 pieces of black cardstock here that are, I think I did 2 3/4 by, I want to say it was 8 1/4, because I went a little bit longer, maybe 8 1/2. Sorry, I should have measured this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1/2. And then I've got my pattern papers, which I'm going to cut down to fit on that. And we're going to look at creating something like this. That's my inspiration. Paper trimmer is what I need. Of course, I put it away, so that's why I cannot find it.
I was gonna say, you can't find one of your 17 trimmers?
I do not have 17 trimmers.
Are you sure?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trimmers.
And how many at the store?
Those aren't mine. Those are the stores.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just cutting off the advertising strip here. This red piece is going to be my base. And I do need to cut these strips down too. Where are my notes? I'm going to cut them down to 2 1/2. So right now they are the 6x8. I've cut them in half this way. So now they're 3x8, and you'll see why in a little bit. And I need to go, where am I at? What did I say? 2 1/2, 2 1/2, 2 1/2. That's one. Put that in the scrap pile. And this paper is a decent enough weight that I can do two at the same time. So this one was actually the front and back of the same paper. One's got all these little donut holes with the mice in it, and I liked the nautical rope on this side, and then these patterns over here. Now you might be asking, or maybe you're not, but I'm gonna pretend you're asking, how did I choose which papers I was going to pull out from the stash?
I always wonder that.
And Matt says he always wonders that. And ultimately, I looked for contrast. So this one is a multicolor background. This one is also multicolor, but it's got that strong black in behind. So when I was looking at the papers, I intentionally did not choose anything else with a black background. This one's got that cream background. I've got the yellow. I don't necessarily want two polka dots together, so I'll split it like this. And then I really love this cornflower blue on the back of that floral piece. So those are my 5 pieces. I'm going to mount them up onto these black pieces. Now, my original intention was to round the corners instead of doing the dovetails that were on this sample one, but I forgot to do that when I did my right hand page. So I'm just going to keep everything nice and square. And I'm just going to stick this all the way down. What I suggest for this technique that I'm going to show you is you do make sure you get good adhesive coverage. And I am centering it left to right, top to bottom. Might be a little bit too long, so I can always trim that down. Because we may have to cut some of these pieces. So you want to make sure that those are nice and adhered to your background so that if you do cut it, see, I'm now just not doing the little strips, just doing little bits. If you do have to cut it, then it's not going to come unstuck. All right, there's number 2. Oh, that's my long center one. Don't stick pattern paper on that. I did have a piece of that horizontal paper cut out earlier. I think I inadvertently then die cut out of it. You know, those things happen. How many of you are a classic mouse fan? Or maybe you like some of his friends. My particular favorite is, I'm going to call him the classic duck.
His duck friend.
His duck friend. In a foul mood since a very long time. I'd have to find my mug that has the exact date on it. I may have once upon a time. I don't anymore. All right, so these are all now mounted on this black background, and I am going to now just trim off those ends because they're bothering me just a little bit. Just doing the old eyeball trick. Yep, I got it. Almost thought I had the scoring tool there for a second by mistake. And then we'll get ready to go to the layout. Got a little scrap bin. I've been doing lots and lots of crafting lately, so I'm happy to have a bin full of scraps to go. Well, I've got 2 bins of scraps actually. One where the scraps are big enough to still be able to use for die cutting. And the other one will eventually end up in the recycling. All right. I'm going to keep that handy and bring out my base page. And let's just arrange these. So intentionally, these are going to, I'm not going to be able to fit all 5 across side by side. That's okay. Because we're going to, see, if I did it like this, then nothing is going to, it's not all going to fit, but I'm going to overlap and I'm going to layer. Now, as I look at this, I see I've got 2 sets of mice over here and no sets of mice over here, only patterns, only backgrounds. So we're going to do a couple little swapperoos. Let's do that. But then I said I didn't want the polka dots together. So there we go. That to me is a nice balance. And as I look at my inspiration piece, I see that the far left one is on the top. This one here is on the top and everything else is underneath. So I'm going to take my number 1 and my number 4 and move it off to the side. And now what I'm going to do is position them kind of like that. This can now go over top. I'm just kind of getting an idea. The other thing you'll now notice, well, better come up on the camera a little bit. Everything's even. We want to move that around a little bit. I'm going to move this one way down. This one almost way down. And then this one a little bit down as well. And this is going to go across the center like that. Now, I'm sure you are saying, I can hear you saying through the airwaves, but they're not at the top now. What are you going to do about that? Yeah, what are you going to do about that? Because I actually think I might want this one to come down a little bit too. Well, this is where this black bar becomes our camouflage. I'm just going to dig out my ruler so that we can be a little bit mathematical about this. A little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit mathematical. If I go like this, let me get the right numbers. If I come down to this bar here, if I cut this first piece at about the 6-inch mark, I'm going to have a piece that I can maneuver and play with. And in fact, you know what? I bet all of them I can do at the 6-inch mark. And we're gonna slice and dice. Okay, so this one I'm gonna cut at 6. And put it there. Now, okay, let's just do all of them at 6. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm second guessing myself now, but I'm gonna go with it. This one I think I'm gonna do at 5 just to give me a little bit more room to play.
It's just paper.
It's just paper. The nice thing about those 6 by 8 pads is there is 2 of each. 2 of each in the pack. And this one will do it. Don't know why I grabbed a totally different trimmer, but you know, I did.
It's your favorite.
Okay. So these guys, that one was going on top, that one was going on top. These guys are going to get stuck right down to the layout. This one's right at the edge. This one is going to come over. This one is kind of going to be centered. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So kind of there. Does not have to be precise. This is the one I think I messed up, but that's okay. That one's going to go maybe a little bit over top. And now this guy's going to go over top. And this guy. All right. I'm going to get out my repositionable tape. Just put a little bit on the back of this bar here. And make sure everything's covered up. because now I'm going to, so that one's on top, that one's on top. Let's go back over here. This one I can tuck under just a little bit. I want that Mickey that Steamboat Willie peeking out. Then I've got this black one, which is going to come all the way down. So a little bit longer than that one. This is how I'm going to fix it. And I'll let my photo mat also be camouflage. That one's overlapping just slightly. And then this one is going right at the top. And I got to put the yellow one on. So we're playing tricks with the eyes. Let's go under just a little bit on that one. And then this is my photo mat, which is 4.5 by 6.5. Oh, but I have something I want to do with that. I'm going to make it into a pocket because the one thing about trips to the Magic Land is you always have lots of photos. So I'm going to turn this into a pocket using foam tape. Are there any questions so far, Matt?
No, everybody's really quiet.
Okay. Please do feel free to ask questions. Sometimes there's a lot that goes on in my head that doesn't come out verbally. And I need one more little piece here. It's still too big.
Now you have a foam square.
And a foam sliver. I keep a collection here on the side of my desk of all my extra bits. All right, so here is where we camouflage. And I've made a little fold out element here that now will fit right in that pocket. And there we go. Magic, I tell ya. So that now leads us to the fin. Actually, you know what? Let me bring out the other page.
You haven't used the dies yet.
I know, we're getting there. So this is my page 2. And this is how that layout is going to go together. So I've got all my stripes here, and then I've used those same pattern paper, and that's why I cut the paper in half, because I needed some pattern pieces for over here. And it's going to get you lots and lots of photos. You could even make these into flaps as well. You could make additional pockets, but right now I'm just going to stick with those 2. Let me attach. I have 2 more photo spots. Actually, I should have been using my repositionable tape. That's okay. So now we're going to talk about clustering. And clustering tends to be one of those things, like using dies on a layout, that we get lots of questions about. And there are some lovely, lovely examples all over social media, all over the internet on that use these beautiful, beautiful sets of clustering. But I know when I look at them, you have to have those very specific elements to make it work. And sometimes it's hard to recreate. So I have a little bit of a rule that I like to use when I'm clustering, and I call it the 1, 2, 3 rule. I want to have 1 large item, 2 medium items, and 3 small items in my cluster. So that is the approach that I'm going to take for tonight. I'm going to get this one just out of the way for now because it's not what we're going to use. I've started with the Viewmaster. I don't remember what this die is actually called. It is another Spellbinders die. It is the Viewmaster die, and that is going to be my large item that I'm going to tuck in here. Matt's just gone in the other room to double check. I may end up trimming a little bit of this down so that, oh, you know what I did? Oh my goodness, do you know what I did? I have this down with repositionable tape. I did not use real tape. It happens. It happens to all of us. And this middle piece will be nice and stuck because of our foam tape. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right. So this is going to be over here as my number 1. My number 2 is going to be a Willie and Mrs. Willie. So I've got 2 die cut elements. Now, if you don't have die cut elements like this, maybe you bought the embellishment pack. Maybe you have stickers. Maybe you have something else. Your medium size does not have to be dies, but that's what I'm going to use tonight. We're going to position them like this. You may notice, maybe you can't see, I'm getting super ambitious. I'm even going to try putting a light in this one. But I know we want to talk about the dies too, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that. And then for my 3, my little guys, my little ones, I'm actually just going to use enamel dots. They are nice and tiny, and I will just use them to make probably 3 little groupings of enamel dots around this element. So let's just move these guys over here, or yeah, let's do that. Let's get the layout done, and then we can talk about the dies at the end. So we want to make this into a light because, you know, let's be ambitious here. So I've done a project recently using the halo light. I'm not using the halo light tonight, but when you purchase the halo light, it comes with 2 one lights that are a slightly different configuration than the regular one lights. It's a little bit longer instead of a little bit more square, but that's what I'm going to use tonight. So I've got my light. I need a battery. Pop that open, get rid of that, save my last battery for my last light. So I'm going to go ahead. Like I said, I do want to trim this down just a little bit because that foam square is going to be super tight to this side. We're just going to smooch it a little bit. Let's attach these together. And how many of you get out your trimmer and then just cut right on your project? I'm really bad for that. I'm terrible for, I better do it this way. I'm terrible for not moving my stuff out of the way. All right. That should be good. I don't need to cut off a lot. And this might be, you know, tip number 2 for tonight for using dies. Or tip number 2. Oh, you found it?
Oh, real colors.
Real color. Okay, that's what that die is called. So tip number 1 is cut your paper and camouflage. Tip number 2 is don't be afraid to cut. Don't be afraid to cut your dies so that they fit where you need them to fit. So there we go. Oh, and I totally did that wrong. I wanted the light down here. That's okay. It's okay. It's all good.
You're having a day.
You know what? It has. I'm gonna blame it on the heat. I'm gonna say the heat has gotten to me. It's still totally going to work. Switch to liquid glue because it's round. It'll be easier. I'm going to tuck that right there. Oh, I guess. Okay. And then I want this to aim, where is my button going to be? Get it the right way around. So if you look at this, the button is on the end here, the battery's going to go in the center, and the little light is here in the middle. My light, I do not have a pencil, so let's use a piece of tape. Little piece of best ever craft tape, just to let me know that this is where my light is. Stick my battery in. There is a plus sign on the battery, plus sign in here. And now I just blinded myself, so the light works. Yay. Yay. Yay, the light works. I'm going to use some double-sided tape. Let's put it on the back of this, because then I'll make sure I get it in the right spot. One. Tweezers. Man, I'm not getting my tape straight. I forgot to angle things. My goodness. We all have nights, but you know what? I'm crafting. So I really can't be complaining. Okay, the light is going to aim into the center. Just lightly put it there. It's not 100% stuck down. If I then tuck this under, that light's going to show. Okay, it's in the right spot. I'm good. Tape, get rid of the... I've used vellum in the middle so that the light will show through, but it also means that the battery shows through. But that's okay, because we're going to put our die cuts over top. Now, when you are attaching your top piece, you want not only one layer, but 2 layers of tape. And the first time I made it, I thought, oh, well, you know, the light's not that big. I don't need 2 layers of tape. The 2 layers of tape is actually because of the button. It does stick out quite a bit taller. And my button is here. So let's make sure. Got a piece here. Button. Peel. And a second piece of tape. I won't peel that one yet. I'm actually going to do this. This might be a little bit easier. I'm going to fold it in half. Now I've already got my double layer of tape. That's going to go on this other side. And I need a little bit more. I need double over here. Where's my roll of tape? All right, that one's already peeled. Peel this one, peel this one. And since I'm on camera, since I'm on live TV, let's really hope this works. Okay, push, push. My light is blinking. All right, so I'm now going to take, so that's my big one, my one. I'm going to put Willie here. I need to put Mrs. Willie somewhere where that, I don't want to cover that because they need to know where to push. But maybe I'll go like that. And I'll move. What if I move him over here? That might be better. Trying to crowd in too many things and it's just not working. So I will put her right here. She's going to cover up that battery. But when you push, she's got that glow behind her. And then I'm going to attach Willie on this side, also with some foam. Probably too much foam. One back here. One on his body. Let's see if I can get a little sliver here. I probably could have used the previous sliver there on his foot. So as much as I said there's a rule 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3, sometimes the rule doesn't work. So you just have to be willing to go with it. But you know what? I really like him over here and, you know, giving her the flower across the photos and across the memories. Okay. Let's get rid of the trash. So I did my one big one. I did my 2 medium ones, and now I just need to add some small ones. So I'm going to do a combination of a large black, a medium white, and a small gray. And I'm going to do little clusters. And if you have ever watched me craft before, oh, wrong one, medium white. I like to do my embellishments in triangles. So I've got a section here. I'm going to do a section over here. And then my last section can be over here. When I connect them, they make a triangle. And that for me is just a great way to make sure that my embellishments don't march in a line. They stay in a visually pleasing collection. All right. And you know what? I'm going to put it up here on the photo. White.
People think it's really cute and adorable. I'm not sure if it's because Steamboat Willie is giving Mrs. Willie a flower, or just because they're...
Or just cause.
Just cause.
Just cause. Just cause. My enamel dots are also not cooperating tonight. Oh my goodness, now it's stuck to me. Okay. It either I can't find it or it sticks to me.
Like
what
glitter.
am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Like glitter, they just end up everywhere.
They kind of do. All right, so I've got my large, my medium, and my small all clustered here. And the way that this is clustered is it's all drawing your eye. It's taking your eye across the page. It's drawing your eye in to the focal point here, which is your photos. Because when it comes to it, what the main thing with your scrapbooking is showcasing your memories and making sure that everything is really just making those be the hero. So all of these clusters, all of these elements are bringing your eye into the center. Now, one last thing I want to do before we leave this page is I'm going to take one of these tags. I think I'm going to take... You know what? Yeah, I'm going to come back to that because I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I won't put a tag on it.
Looks pretty good already.
Yeah. And now we're going to add some dies, some die cut elements to this page over here. But before we do that, we need to make them because I didn't make them ahead of time. I wanted to show you how these worked. All right, so I showed you that big die set. That great big die set, and now I don't know what I did with it. Oh, they're over here on my iPad. We got this set here, and the designers at Spellbinders have absolutely knocked it out of the park in terms of giving you versatility with this die set. However, with that versatility comes the flip side of it is there is a whole lot of pieces and it can get very confusing. So my recommendation to you when you first get your die set is to get a nice big magnet or a couple magnets and start to cluster your dies into body parts or parts of the body so that you know what goes with what. Now, you may not know until you build it the first time, and that's okay. I'm going to give you a little hint here. And when I get to doing my homework, which is doing my little template for this, I will make sure that I post it. But what the other thing, this is your homework. When you take a die off to use it, put it back where you found it. Keep all the pieces together. So I have started up here. I have my heads. I have my head base and my face, which goes on top of it. Did not mean for that to rhyme, but I've got those together. They've given you both a left facing and a right facing Mickey face and a Mickey head. Sorry, Willie heads. You can turn either one of these into Mrs. Willie. So you can do a Willie or a Mrs. Willie simply by using this little element here. I don't know if you can see it very well. It kind of looks like a thing with spiky hair. Those are her eyelashes, and I'll explain that in just a minute. This piece here, this one is really unique because it actually has a word stamped right into it, and it says mouth. This is the red piece that goes in behind to make the tongue. And it'll all make sense when we start to assemble. That one goes in this pile. Got to keep all my piles straight here. Then you have a series of arms. Oh, sorry, let me go back here. You have a him body and a her body. Now, the interesting thing is they've given you faces that you can use either way, but they've only given you one of each body. So the times that you would use the faces in the opposite way is when you're only using the faces. And I'll show you that in a second. You've got 6 different sets of arms, all in different configurations and positions. You've got 2 different tails. And then you've got him clothing and her clothing. Him clothing includes a hat, which has 2 pieces, his shorts, which has 2 pieces, and his shoes. Her clothing pieces include a skirt, 2 pieces for a hat, a little flower for her hat, her high heel shoes, and then there's this really weird, really tiny little piece that are actually her bloomers. If you look at her here, these little white pieces are that die. I highly recommend you put liner tape behind it before you cut it out. It is tricky to glue, and make sure you have the body ready so that you can glue it right away. I think I already talked about tails, and then this is the flower that Willie is handing over. So it's actually not too bad when you start to group your pieces together, but a lot of that just comes with doing it once or twice so that you know where things go. The other nice thing is that all of these pieces have really nice embossed lines on it to help you line things up. All right, so without further ado, let's assemble a Willie and a Mrs. Willie.
I hope you've already done the cutting.
I've done a lot of the cutting. There's a couple of pieces that they're just too tiny that I did not want to lose. So I've got 1 head, 2 heads. I'm going to use my tweezers. My little eyelashes here, which will go on this one. That is her hat. That is the flower for her hat. That is her tongue. This is his tongue. We've got a face.
They both have the same tongue?
Face. They both have the same piece for the tongue. Now, I've got 2 sets of arms here. I think I'm going to put this one with him and this one with her, only so that it's different than what I did before. We've got his body, her body, his shorts, trim for her hat, and her skirt. Pieces I have not cut out yet. I have not cut out her bloomers, too small. Not cut out her shoes or his shoes, too small. And there is a little piece that goes behind his shorts so that you've got white peeking through his buttons. So we will do that together.
I can't believe they're showing their underwear.
They are showing their underwear. And you and I were talking about this earlier. It is hilarious to me when I see, the duck, and most of the time the duck has no pants. However, when he gets out of the shower, he makes sure he wraps a towel around his lower section. I don't get it. All right. I don't know if this is going to show up very well, but I'm going to have you ask you to trust me that there are beautiful etched lines on here that show the curve of his face, his eyes, and where his nose goes. So I can take this, I can apply just a little bit of liquid glue. You don't want to be too generous because it could seep out. And I'm going to place this right in those edges.
Would sticky specs work for this kind of thing?
Sticky specs would work, absolutely. If you wanted to put liner sheet behind all of the pieces, you can. I'm very frugal with my liner sheet, so I've just used glue here. And then I'm going to flip him over, put just a little bit of glue around that opening. And the round part of the tongue piece goes under his chin. Liquid glue also allows you to kind of wiggle that into spot. Just like that.
That's quick.
Super quick. Super quick. They've thought of just about everything.
It's funny how fast it can go from being just pieces to, oh, yep. I recognize that.
And you know what? I will be totally transparent. The cutting takes a little while. Not going to lie. But this would be perfect for if you were at the cottage and you had your scout. If you were watching TV. I actually don't recommend die cutting a bunch of pieces and then assembling. You do want to do some degree of assembling as you go because they can be pretty fiddly. But it's so worth it. Okay, so now we've got...
You've got Sheila all excited about doing it now.
Excellent. So now I've got... I don't know if I can zoom in. I'm not going to try. I'll have to do that when I practice. So now I've got my two heads, a right-facing head and a left-facing head. Because I know that my body is left-facing, I know that the eyelashes have to go on this Mickey head. They've given you a very, very generous little circle here that you can put your glue on because it's going to tuck in behind. If you have ever seen Mrs. Willie, her eyelashes just look like they're coming out from the side of her head.
How'd you know where to put that?
Well, I partly knew because this is now the third one that I've made. But if you happen to have something that has it on, just use it as reference. It just kind of comes out. It's weird. It's the side of her forehead, but when it's all there, you're like, oh, but of course that's where it goes. It's not even showing out here. Let's do this. There we go.
Okay, we're starting to lose resolution.
Okay. All right. So this is what they look like when you do it in the opposite direction. So I've got the eyelashes on the other side. It's the same die, the same piece. It's just going on the opposite head. And then I felt that she needed a little something extra. So I just trimmed off that little flower and put it in her ear to make her look a little more girly. Okay. Next up, let's do the hat. The hat was probably the trickiest piece that I found of this whole thing. Once I knew what was going on, because it does have a little extra etched line, but no piece that goes on it. So I'm going to have to do some research. I'm not sure if I'm just doing that wrong. And you actually don't need as much glue as I put on because it's just going to go over the one ear. Oh, now she kind of looks like it's a Santa hat, but I didn't mean for that. The flower, again, has a nice, big, generous area that you can put your glue. And it goes in behind. Okay, neither Willie nor his girlfriend have shirts. We're just going to go with that. I've given her a red skirt. I'm following the etched line. And I will give you the added warning that these do have a bit of a black outline, so they do still look a little bit cartoony. So don't worry if that top layer does not fit 100% underneath. The next thing I'm going to do, I've already got some white cardstock prepared with some liner sheet. I'm going to cut the back of his shorts, and I'm going to cut that little bloomer piece. So we're just going to grab them. I'm over here on the other side. Have faith. Don't knock things flying.
Oh, lots of wiggle.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so that's bloomers. The little white dots also go in behind. The best place to put the glue is just right between the buttons. And then drop this into place. There are little etch lines to show where the buttons go, but if you don't have it perfectly lined up, you have to look really closely so nobody is going to know where it's supposed to go. And then while I'm here, I might as well give him blue shorts on this side. Okay. And her bloomers are underneath with the liner sheet. So that way I can just peel and stick. That piece is so tiny.
That's tiny.
So tiny. But even given how tiny they are, when you look at it in person, when you see it up close, you can really see where those etched lines are. And it was super easy to line up. Okay, what did I tell you? Put dies back where they belong so you don't get them mixed up. All right, next up, I need shoes, and then I can assemble them all together. So for both of them, I'm going to give them yellow shoes, just in the name of efficiency. I did put liner sheet behind my yellow paper as well. So I'm using Spellbinders cardstock. I have Poppy for the red, Tuscan for the yellow, and I believe it's Celestial.
Here,
yeah, Celestial. Cardstock was Celestial for the blue.
Spellbinders. It's
Celestial.
Celestial.
Tuscan. And Poppy.
And then what about the black? Is that just regular black?
Black is just black. I pulled some black out of my stash, but any black will do. Same with the white. I think I've got scraps of white Spellbinders, but again, any white will do. And because those are already stuck, because look how tiny and detailed they are, using that liner sheet, the Spellbinders liner sheet, which is double-sided adhesive that you can just pop onto the back of your paper and turn your paper into basically sticker paper.
As long as you're good at peeling liners.
You know what? The backings are not too bad. I struggled more with the masking paper than I did with the liner paper. Then his shoe goes on. Come on, little guy. And given how incredibly detailed these are, they cut like a dream. All right, his shoes are on. We just now need to pull it all together. On the bodies, there is an etched line, which is where you line up their chin. And they do look kind of weird. They look very short-bodied, but they're not. It all comes together in the end. Let's do a little bit of glue here. And now his arms. So the arms go behind. And once again, they've given you some really good, generous glue spots. So you don't have to glue anywhere other than that center area. And I'm going to come behind, maybe pull that one out in front of her. So she's like, yay, I'm so excited. Willie's here. And Willie's going to say, come and give me a hug. Do-do-do-do. And you can bring their arms down. It doesn't matter too much if they are not 100% anatomically correct. They're stinking cute, and that's really, really all that matters. Okay, so let's quickly get that layout back out. Add these last few characters, and then we can call it a night. So over here on this layout, I've got some pattern pieces. I've got some, so these white areas are photo spots. The one thing I kept, this was the center spot that came out of that real color. So I think I'm going to put that in the middle, just to give us a bit of a spotlight. And then Mrs. Willie and Willie can go right here in the center. And my two little standalone heads are going to go up here.
You got some, oh, it's adorable.
It really is so cute. And here I've done another one of those reels. And just, I only had scraps of paper left, so I only did kind of like a slice of it and tucked it in. So that's another way that you can use your dies. Get out my foam squares. Yeah, in hindsight, I don't think I would do a white hat again. It does look a little Santa Claus-y. Unless, of course, you're doing a Christmas layout, and then it's fine. So we'll put this here. Did I peel those? No, I did not. And I think what I'd like to do is go into my stash and see if I can find either a heart die cut or a heart sticker to put right here. Aww. And let's put these guys here. And I could use that alphabet die to make my title. And there's lots and lots of ways to use dies on your layouts. And the nice thing about dies is you can customize it to the colors that you want to use. I was really guided by the pattern paper that I used, which happened to be, you know, somewhat traditional for these type of characters. But you could very easily do a pink and teal layout and just change their clothing so that they match the color. Change the color of the flower. Change the spots on that Viewmaster reel. And really customize it to make it your own. So there you have it. A light up. We've got Mr. and Mrs. Willie. We've got some great clusters, lots of drawing of attention. If nothing else, if that's what you remember about where to position your embellishments, it's to draw your eye into the photos. Even though you've gone to lots of work to put these characters together, their whole purpose is to make your photos look amazing. So there you go. I hope you love that new classic or Steamboat Willie duo die. Lots and lots of different possibilities with that. The real color die goes well with it. All of those great things from this new collection. And of course, the classic Say Cheese Classic Mouse papers from Simple Stories. Makes it all work wonderfully. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're watching on replay, thanks for joining us. And I wish you all a wonderful Tuesday evening. Good night.